Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Product Coalition European Tour, where today I'm really excited to be joined by Stefan Haas. Welcome, Stefan.
Welcome, Jay, and thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Apologies, it's not face-to-face in Berlin as we planned.
Yeah, but I mean, there's something came in between. It's called the COVID-19 thing.
Yeah. Got in the way of a lot of things. So for those listening, this is a remote podcast recording, which means the sound quality might not be what you'd expect from a face-to-face session, but please forgive us. We're doing our best to create some value for you during this time. So as I mentioned, this is the podcast as part of the European tour. I originally set out to visit 5 cities and interview over 50 product leaders across Europe to gain insights, knowledge, and experience to share with you, the global product coalition community. Right now, all of that is going to be pretty much remote podcast recordings. Now, the reason for that was to create awareness and support for the bushfire affected communities of Australia. So if you do enjoy this episode or any episode of the Product Coalition European Tour, please consider supporting the communities of Australia, which have been even further devastated by the lack of tourist dollar that they'll receive this year. You can support the volunteer firefighters, the wildlife, or the National Bushfire Fund over at bushfire.productcoalition.com. If you've just discovered the Product Coalition, welcome. We're a global community of over 500,000 readers, 6,000 Slack members, and thousands of podcast listeners. You can head to platform.productcoalition.com to find out more. Now, before we get stuck in, I do need to give a big thanks to some brands and individuals who've made significant contributions to the bushfire fundraiser I mentioned. First up is UserPilot. UserPilot is a code-free user onboarding and adoption tool designed especially for product management teams. UserPilot helps to increase conversion, user retention rates, and reduce churn by guiding new users to their first aha moment with interactive walkthroughs, contextual product tours, and onboarding checklists. It allows product managers to build fully customizable, behavior-triggered in-app experiences with a simple visual editor. Go to userpilot.com to grab a demo and a free trial. Shobit Chugh is a Google product manager, and he helps product managers become product leaders and have careers they can be proud of. Go to intentionalproductmanager.com and sign up for Shobit's free class on the habits that turn product managers into exceptional product leaders and help them move through their careers fast. Product-led teams like Mixpanel and Flexport know that the best time to capture engagement is when a user is already inside the product. That's why they use Chameleon to drive feature adoption, build onboarding flows, and gather user feedback. You can give it a go at trychameleon.com/success. I'd also like to thank Rich Mironoff, Chris Miles, and James Woodley for their significant donations. Stefan, I'm looking forward to chatting through with you today. We're talking about nurturing a product learning network in disruptive times. I'm looking forward to working through this with you. Before we get stuck in, Stefan, do you mind giving the audience and myself a bit of background to you and your career path so far?
Well, I started with product quite a while ago in mid of 90s last century. So I've been I come from a tech background, so I studied computer science, computational linguistics, and AI. And just when I went on the job market, I found myself struggling with not technical problems as I've been used to in university. I struggled with social and human problems. So I kind of became my wife always likes to call me a tech psychologist. So I'm a kind of amateur psychologist with a tech background, and that kept me busy until now. So I started working in digital companies here in Berlin, building websites, building CMS websites, things like that, and then spent the rest of my time with companies doing product management in the tech and IT background till 2012, where I started what is now the product dojo that was co-founded with Catherine Lewis and me in Berlin.
Fantastic. So could you tell us a little bit more? What's Product Dojo all about?
Well, Catherine and me, we came together in 2010-11. We saw that there's a lot that you can do when you're an engineer or when you're also someone from the UX field, but there's very little known about what you can do when you want to have a product career. This time there were no conferences. You could go to Scrum Alliance and learn a little bit how to prioritize the product backlog, but That's it. And we felt there's a huge gap from so we both come very much from the Scrum background. When you understand, hey, what is the product owner supposed to do, and how to do that actually. So how do you know this is important or that's not important, and how do you actually deal with your team when it's actually in a dysfunctional mode, or how do you deal with your company's business model if you see, well, there's another opportunity. All of these questions totally left open from what you could learn these times. So we thought, wow, let's put something together that we call the Product Dojo. The idea is it's a sort of gym for product owners to come together and train and practice, far beyond what you normally do when you just go to a standard agile class in product ownership.
Fantastic. So, was it 2011 that you started Product Dojo?
Well, the Product Dojo itself, the first event was 2012 November. Right. But playing with the concept and doing some let's say some test workshops, I started in 2011.
Wow. Well, it certainly takes passion to continue to drive a product-based business. Where does your passion come from, Stefan?
Well, I think it's still the same. It's kind of the mixture of tech and people that I feel so much attracted to. So it's whenever you have this feeling that the team is getting to a flow and you create something valuable for customer together. And but we see ourselves also very much as a product company. So whenever we craft a workshop for an organization, we do something that it's like customer discovery. We need to know really what the core problems are, and then have of course a lot of patterns ready that we can actually use for creating a journey for our customers that they actually can learn. So we are always in this mode of creating something together for people that they can make some progress. And this is, I think, for me, the core in product, that you build something that helps other people make some progress. So get their job done if you want to use this concept. And it's like helping people, if you like, in a way that is useful, and you feel like, well, you get this feeling of you're needed, you get some positive feedbacks if you're doing a really good job, and also helping others do that in a way that's driving me.
Can I ask, Stefan, are the students any different that are coming to you today as opposed to 8-9 years ago?
Yeah, well, when we started in 2012, I think we were just very lucky because we were using none of the methods we are teaching now, like with early experiments and first build your customers, and then with the MVP. We just started launching the event, and then we were super lucky to have early product companies in Berlin joining us. So we were extremely thankful that people from Wuga, for example, joined us. That's a gaming company that, for me, is a core product company. So they have already this, like, I would say, product DNA with small autonomous teams, directly targeting customer problems on the market, etc. So we were very lucky that we got the right customers with our first launch. And actually we're happy then continuously grow with this folks. So we had the early adopters first. Now I think we see that product, or this way of working, is getting more and more traction. I would not call it mainstream, but definitely something that we have a lot of conferences. We have Mind the Product. We have Productize in Lisbon, where you are right now, and it's a growing. We have Product Coalition, yeah. So we have. It's like a. I would say it's occupational culture starting. Yeah. So what Catherine and me also observed in the beginning. We had engineers, they had their culture. So they came from the university, they started to study together, they had coding dojos. And so we thought, hey, we need something like that for product too. So this exchange, this learning from each others. And And we had some other thoughts. We thought, well, there are so many tool vendors around. So we have the Scrum Alliance, we have Scrum.org, we have the D-Schools, we have, all these vendors try to push their tools. So you get Scrum, and then whatever problem you see, Scrum is the solution. And and we thought, wow, this is actually not the real world of product. Product is going beyond that, and there's no space where you can actually play and explore all of these different aspects that make sense in different contexts to build your own toolbox and to build your own procedural knowledge and how to apply that in a specific context opposed to another where you probably will do something completely different. So we were not going this way of building our own tools, but we wanted to create more like a network and a gym for people to practice whatever they need to make great products or help customers to make progress.
Brilliant. Can I ask, what do you think the future holds for product management? A lot's obviously changing.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I don't know. I would not say that I would have a good guess for the real future for product. I have a bet for the future of more for us as what we do. We have a kind of pivot in 2018 because we were I think we were very much in this thinking model. Let's take a customer job to be done. Try to digitize that. So create a solution for this, whatever that may be, and build a business model around that can grow. I mean, that's like what I would say is the core of product or the philosophy behind. And we saw, well, we cannot basically go on like that, ignoring that our economic system is embedded in a social system, which itself is embedded in an ecological system, so the planet. So the planet boundaries seem to be like on the edge. And you know that from the bushfires in Australia, we get this little warning shot from the COVID-19 now that that is actually the ecological system saying, hey, there is something else. And we think that we have to think in very different terms in product, taking sustainability in a totally different direction than we do at the moment. So for us, it's actually not anymore so important to solve any customer problem, to create just another business model that grows, but to really be very mindful of what we want to do with product. Just to give you an example, I mean, when you look on the streets, people try to outcompete in height and weight of their cars, even in cities like Berlin. So when you think about that like a business model and a product perspective without taking planet into and social into account, then it's a good thing. Why not do that? Thinking about planetary boundaries and also the social system is actually not a very brilliant idea to fill up streets with SUVs and that waste a lot of CO2 when they just drive. So we think that product ethics and we think that sustainable product is the way to go. From our experiments or experiences last year starting this, so for example, we tried to connect a little bit the Extinction Rebellion group with product last year in Berlin. We think product is really very much not having the wake-up call yet. So there were not much traction on this type of thinking. Changed a little bit. So we see that companies like Zalando, for example, seriously consider sustainability as an essential part of their business model, or the market constraints coming, so that their customers will also become more sustainable aware. but this is still very slow and very on an early stage, I would say, at least from my personal perspective. But yeah, well, I think the climate and the planetary boundaries will not go away. They're just there. So it's kind of a safe bet that this is a problem. It's not yet clear how the human condition will react to that.
I love how you've taken this mindset and brought it up a level to greater systems thinking and going beyond this, the system that the product plays a part of, to the system that the life of the person plays a part of, and have grown. For many product managers that are adopting this mindset and thinking beyond and with new ethical boundaries that are now considering, it's easy for them to implement that into their product strategy and distribute that downwards. How do you find that they go about having that conversation upwards, where it therefore needs to be influenced or interpreted into the business strategy?
Yeah. I mean, we all know from product that we always have this conflict of creating customer value while being within the constraints of the business model. So I think this is kind of I would say one of the oldest themes in product, that you want to create something valuable for the customer. So you have the desirability and the feasibility, but then someone comes, hey, how can we make money with that? And so finding this balance is already, I would say, something in the DNA of product. But now we have to actually move a little bit further and think about, does it really make sense in a more holistic way what we are doing? So yes, we may be able to solve this customer job, but wouldn't it be much better to not solve it, or have something else that solves this in a way that the customer need is satisfied in a way that it's not leading to more consumption. I mean, when we take the Zalando case, for example, I mean, fashion by itself is actually something that's not really sustainable, because, well, you're not wearing clothes because they are making you warm or they just cover your body. You're wearing them because they are fashionable, and fashion goes out of fashion and you have new ones. Yeah. And continuing this would mean that the whole business model itself is in conflict with a sustainable thinking model, in conflict with the stock market, the shareholders, etc. So I would say we have a big system problem that we need to solve. I would trust the product people, because as I know them, for me, the system thinkers in the organization are the network people, are the people who can actually think in a more complex way than most others in the organization, would be extremely helpful in that. Still, I see that the product community is very much bound or constricted in this economic way of thinking, because, well, for me, the product is always representing the viability in this triangle: desirability, feasibility, and viability. So most product people come from business, so they are standing for how to make money with the innovation. But I think that's actually where I think the change can happen in the organization, if we manage to get to a new way of thinking product.
Definitely.
And I know some good examples of that. Yeah.
Right. Could you give us an example, Stefan?
Yeah, well, just one that I know from personal contact is Ecosia. That's a search engine that's basically competition to Google but a very different business model. So they use their advertisement revenue stream to plant trees. So they are kind of a self-growing company. So they're sustainable in a way. So they have a sustainable business model, but they're not oriented to growth, but they're more oriented to actually spend the money, whatever they earn, to do something good. So actually compensate. Yeah. And so that would be, for example, would be just one example.
Fantastic.
We know Fairphone, for example, that's another one. Yeah, that's just that's just a phone that's that where the supply chain is following fair production guidelines. So these are, I would say, good examples. I'm looking for a pivot that could help actually Product Dojo itself become a sustainable company, which is, well, looking at our own business model, it's pretty simple. So we can compensate, and we can run on sustainable resources because we are a tiny consulting company. So that's probably the easy part. The more difficult part is looking at the business model. So we would have to stop supporting organizations that are not sustainable.
Right. Okay.
And so there the interesting part starts, and that's something that I must say we are completely ambivalent. So we are, of course, working for large organizations that are definitely not sustainable. We exclude some, so we would not work for the oil industry or for military or things like that. But the rest, we are open. Yeah. So we try to um, help people get into the mindset. So whenever we do a public training, we build all the exercises around UN sustainability goals, etc. So we try to bring the ideas into the community, but that's a tiny weak thing, I would say. It would be much stronger if you would just say, hey, we are just only working for sustainable companies, which we cannot afford because our business model would be then not sustainable anymore. So this is something I'm currently thinking about and working on, and trying to find ideas.
For many people listening, Stefan, there's many roadmaps out there that I'm sure are getting heavily reviewed right now because of the COVID-19 situation.
Of course.
It's affected their suppliers or the demand for their product, or how they go about building or fabricating a product. With regards to that in itself, though, there's possibly an opportunity for product managers who are having to either pivot the product or the strategy or both to start to be more mindful around making ethical decisions, beyond the year 2020. Can I ask, with such a big change that's happening around us and disruption, how do you go about responding to disruption in this type of situation?
I mean, our own company or our own value proposition is very much built around in-person or personal workshops. So being in one space, using whiteboards, post-its, things like that. So we were very not very much in the digital until now, because we have this idea of high bandwidth collaboration. That's the best place to learn together. And we always thought, yes, online or digital is important, but we always had that on our number 2, 3 on the backlog. So it never got pulled out. So this is something that we for us are investing now in, and we see if we manage to get into this space, this can help a lot because we will not have to travel that much anymore. And I think this is something that's happening all over the world now. So I talked to one of the biggest chemistry companies just this morning here not in Berlin, in Germany, and everyone is working from home there. So like the leadership teams, but that's new for them. But they're learning now rapidly, and we hope that this knowledge that they're creating now is actually can live on after this COVID crisis. For product itself, like a general assumption, I'm a bit skeptical because everyone is now very much in a chaotic and panic mode, and trying to find opportunities either in the situation, so come up with some pivots that help now, which we have seen, like companies starting to sew face masks and do just anything that could help now others. But it's very much ad hoc, and it's very much with the purpose of helping the company survive the crisis. So the main objective is economic sustainability now. So what can we do to make our company survive? Which we also do. Everyone is doing that at the moment. And so I'm a bit afraid that this ecological thinking is going to push back. And you need really to think further, to think, well, maybe this is just the first thing, or first event that I would call it like an ecological disruption. And if we go on like that, so we will have even much severe interruptions coming from violating planetary boundaries. So and I would say I'm really ambivalent with this. Yeah, either we think, wow, with technology and being better organized, we can handle these type of crises, and these are just ways where we can, grow again. Or if this is really bringing us into a mode where we step 2 steps back and think about, wow, what if it's not that bad that I cannot fly over to United States or to wherever I like? What if this is just okay that I stay here? Yeah, so I would decouple a little bit my satisfaction from ways to just having more of travel, more of products, more of whatever. Yeah.
Well, we know as product people that, we run off data and assumptions, and there's no data historically in the history of the world that we've got to leverage in this situation. So there's something all massive, and it's some people will win and some people will lose, and I think in some instances the environment will win. If I think about the lack of travel going on, lack of jet planes pumping out CO2 and those types of things, but then the amount of people that are at home with their heaters on 24 hours a day now and their televisions on 24 hours a day, which one's the better of the bad two? And so until some of this data starts to feed back, I think you're right. The decisions we're making now may not be the right decisions beyond keeping ourselves going. And I just hope everyone does take a breath when there's a little bit more data available to say, that was the right decision with what we knew then. Now we know this. Let's not continue on this path, and let's make a bit more of an intelligent decision without all of the panic that we've got around us right now.
Yeah. I mean, we are in a chaotic situation, and the normal way to react, I think, either fight or flight. Either you're paralyzed, you get panic, and you wait until it's over, or you're more in a then proactive way, which is probably good, but it's very actionistic. Yeah. So some clients we have, they're now back to command control, like the top leaders say, hey, we have to do this, and then put some task force together and then just push it through without the sense making and without experimenting and without a bit more calm mind and in thinking what to do. So it's kind of like very actionist environment, because people struggle for survival of their economic business even more. I mean, you see the unemployment rates going up in US like crazy. Yeah, fear. Yeah, that's just pure fear, and fear is actually not a good place to be when you think about broader system.
Yeah, we all know that. I mean, there's many a product manager out there, I'm sure, that's made a flippant decision out of fear or in the moment, and come to regret it a day or week, month or a year later. So I'm sure there'll be a few regrets to come around the world. Thank you so much, Stefan, for talking through with me, not so much sort of the day-to-day, but this systems thinking as well. This went in a whole new direction for me, and I'm really glad it did. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Jay. It was a pleasure.
And for those that may watch the video on YouTube, I love the video, the library behind you as well, Stefan. That's an impressive library you've got going on there.
It's one of my passions. It's art books. So that's not computer or business books. It's art books that collection of mine and my wife.
Fantastic. It's beautiful. Great job. Thank you so much. And I do hope one day we can get together in Berlin and I can come down and visit and see what Product Dojo is all about. It'd be great. All the best. Thanks, Stefan. For those listening in, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this episode with Stefan, Haas and I. It's been great to talk through a bit more meta than what I usually do. So I've really enjoyed this. If you've enjoyed this episode or any of the episodes of the Product Coalition European Tour, please remember I'm dedicating this time to raising awareness and support for the bushfire affected communities of Australia. If you'd like to support either the volunteer firefighters, the wildlife or the National Bushfire Fund of Australia, you can do so by heading over to bushfire.productcoalition.com. Until next episode, thank you.